Joining me now is Nassau County Legislator Josh Lafazan. Legislator, I appreciate you coming on once again.
Thanks for having me back. Always a pleasure.
There's an update into a conversation we've been having now for months, and that's Embattled Congressman George Santos is currently in federal custody, and according to his indictment, was charged with 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of making false statements to Congress while running for office. What is your response to these charges?
Sure. So today confirms what we've known for 5 months, that George Santos is a liar and a fraud. And not only did Santos break the public trust, but he likely violated federal law in the process. And so while today is vindication for all of us who have been calling for swift justice, it's also 5 months that we've had, quite frankly, an effectively useless member of Congress who doesn't sit on committees, who is a pariah in Washington, and now with the federal indictment is likely a criminal. So today's indictment says that enough is enough. It's time the House of Representatives votes to expel George Santos once and for all.
You said the term vindication, so I want to bring up a point, and that is that this has been a story going on for a while now. Back in September, as you know, a small Long Island paper, the North Shore Leader, first reported fabrications in George Santos's resume before the election. But obviously, as you know, he still won. And the New York Times published an explosive investigation into the New York Republican in December, which really shined a light on all of these fabrications in his resume, questions about his finances, things like that. You've been a vocal critic of George Santos for months now. So how vindicated do you feel today?
Very. Ever since the moment the New York Times story dropped in December, we've held almost 30 news conferences. We've brought together Democrats, Republicans, and independents from across the 3rd District. We've continued to build coalitions in our community to pressure law enforcement to move faster, to pressure Republicans to join the chorus of Democrats calling for him to resign. And so it is vindication, but the work is not done. It seems that Speaker McCarthy has indicated that he's going to allow Santos to remain in Congress even after his indictment, while his legal troubles play out, which to me is absurd. It's absolutely preposterous. Whether or not George Santos goes to jail ultimately is up to a judge, prosecutors, and a jury of his peers. But whether or not he serves in the House of Representatives, we very much have a say in, right? My constituents have real problems, right? We have seniors who need help with Medicare and Social Security, veterans who need help with the VA. And all the while, they can't get through to their member of Congress because he's a little too busy keeping himself out of jail and not busy enough working for the people. And so while his legal troubles play out, he can do so on the side. But he does not get to continue to ride this out and enjoy the infamous spotlight of his own making on the backs of my constituents. It's absolutely not going to be allowed.
You feel vindicated, but you sound a little angry, like you want more to happen right at this moment. And I'm interested on what your constituents are saying. George Santos, as you know, represents New York's 3rd congressional district, which consists of both Long Island and parts of Queens. You're a legislator in Long Island. What are the constituents saying?
Sure. So I represent the 18th legislative district. So tens of thousands of folks in the 3rd congressional district are also my constituents. They've been calling my office day after day for months. And so today is bittersweet. My office phone's been ringing off the hook. Folks are excited. They're excited that it finally seems that George Santos will face the consequences for his own action. But it's also bittersweet because it's a sad reminder that once again, Long Island has been made not only a national embarrassment, but international embarrassment has been brought in our community. So people are fed up and exhausted. If George Santos had one ounce of decency left, he would do the honorable thing and resign. But the fact that Republicans are not moving immediately to expel him, it shows that there is a serious issue in the health of our democracy. Right? When you have an elected official who's under federal indictment with 13 counts and is not expelled, it erodes people's trust in their institutions. And that trust is the very bedrock of our democratic system. And so I'm angry that Kevin McCarthy has indicated he won't move to expel Santos. And I'm angry that more Republicans haven't spoken out. Because if 78 Republicans would join with Democrats, put their country over their party and be patriots and move to expel him, we could throw him out tomorrow.
You said something interesting in our last conversation at the end of April, which is that George Santos was bipartisan in the sense that he brought both Democrats and Republicans together in, really saying that he's not fit to serve. And a number of Republican lawmakers have spoken out against Santos in the last few days. But as you said, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy only said he would tell Santos to resign if he was found guilty. So I do want to read you a quote from McCarthy, and I want your response on it. He said, If a person is indicted, they're not on committees, they have the right to vote, but they have to go to trial. I know you were frustrated in his response that he didn't call him immediately to resign, but what do you think of that statement?
Sure, I think that statement is not analogous here. This is not a member of Congress who's been indicted on one allegation and is proving his or her case. This is George Santos. This is the most prolific liar in the history of American politics. This is somebody who's been accused of campaign finance violation, unemployment fraud, potential sexual harassment, 13 counts in an indictment. And any one of those allegations standing on their own would merit disqualification. But when taken together, the fact that McCarthy has moved the goalposts, it went from we'll see the charges to we'll wait until he's convicted. It's preposterous. It absolutely is. And at the end of the day, the fact that our elected officials are putting party and political expediency before their country, our founders would be rolling over in their graves if they knew that George Santos still had an office on Capitol Hill.